Hi, fifth grade. I thought I would try something different and upload the video to Google Drive. Some people have been having problems getting it on YouTube, so I thought I would do it this way. So I'm recording from my phone. So let's talk about last week's chapters of Sign of the Beaver. So these chapters are once again kind of showing us that Matt and a teen are obviously different. Matt is a white boy, a teen's a Native American. They've grown up differently, yet they're both boys. They both have similar interests. It's just a teen has obviously been hands-on his whole life. Not that Matt hasn't, but it's just a different kind of hands-on. And it's just that reluctant idea that they both don't want to admit right away that they want to be friends and they want to like each other. You know, a teen especially is very superstitious, suspicious of white people because he's heard the stories over the years of how white people have slaughtered and robbed and brought disease to Native Americans and generally have caused a lot of destruction. So he is not all gung-ho, even though, as I said in the last video, his grandfather wants him to learn English because of the fact if he can read it and write it, he can't be cheated by the white man. Now, some of you on one of the questions the other week on the worksheet said that he didn't know English. He does know English. He can speak it. He may not speak it as well as Matt can, but he understands it to hear it and he understands to communicate. He just doesn't understand it if it's written down or if he had to read it himself, or write it himself. So that's important to note. He does understand English. So in chapter 9, this is where we see the difference in hunting, because obviously Matt has grown up with his father using a gun, and he would still be using the gun had Ben not stolen it. And he learns, of course, from a teen that they don't use guns. They're very hands-on. The teen's kind of got this funny knife that looks probably like it's been through heck and back, but it works. And a teen is the one who shows Matt that you don't need all these fancy gadgets or the white man things like in Robinson Crusoe when they read the chapter and Robinson Crusoe had brought all the stuff off the ship. That all you need is really, one little knife and nature, and you can figure it out yourself. So a teen teaches Matt how to make a snare. So if you're not sure what a snare is, Google it. But basically it's a trap to get animals. And of course, once you trap the animals, you eat them. Now, those of you that are animal lovers, remember this is the only way you got food back in the day. You couldn't go to the grocery store. There was no vegan section of the colonial market. You ate what you caught and what you could get. And a lot of that is fish and other wildlife. That's what you would eat. So Matt, of course, is not talented doing it, but he eventually catches, I believe it says it's a partridge. So that's a type of bird, in the song Partridge in a Pear Tree. So he catches a partridge and he's proud of himself, even though he knows his snare is not the best looking one. It's just like anything. The more you do it, the better you get. So he is confident after especially catching the partridge that he will definitely be able to survive and have a better variety of food now that he knows how to make a snare. Every day a teen still brings food though, even though Matt said, no, I'm all set. And obviously it's because a teen's grandfather, Sackness, knows that Matt is doing him a favor and also that Matt's by himself and he's looking out for him as though it was his own grandson. He would want somebody to look out for a teen if he couldn't look out for a teen. And so Sackness is insisting that a teen still bring food every day. And that's important because remember, Ben, the white man, took advantage of all of the hospitality that Matt had and then stole the gun. And here are these Native Americans and they've been nothing but nice and kind to Matt. Now, a teen is still struggling with learning English. It's very hard to learn a language when you're older, and I think I said that in the last video. So Matt has to be careful, though, because if you don't know the book Robinson Crusoe, and you can Google that as well, it's about this man who's stranded on an island, and there's these native people, and of course, there's this one native tribe that is cannibals. And if you know what a cannibal is, it's somebody who eats other people. So Robinson Crusoe saves this man who was about to be eaten by the cannibals, and of course, he would be a darker colored man, darker skinned man. And in the book, he does become Robinson Crusoe's kind of servant because he feels indebted to Robinson Crusoe, and Robinson Crusoe calls him Friday. That's his name. Now, Matt realizes as he's reading this apart to a teen, he doesn't want a teen to get upset because he knows by now a teen is not going to like hearing that somebody of a darker skin color is a servant to a white man. So he kind of goes around that part. He's kind of smart enough to know, just like, when you were little and your parents were reading you a story and maybe A, they don't want to read you a certain part, maybe it was too scary, or B, I used to do this when I was reading Catherine a story. If I wanted her just to go to bed, I'd kind of skip some things and make it up because I knew she couldn't read yet. So he kind of does that too, and he leaves out the part that Friday, is all about becoming his servant. But he doesn't leave out the part about Friday kneeling down in front of Robinson Crusoe, and a teen is offended by that because he doesn't understand why one man would have to bow down to another. Remember, the Native Americans, very different philosophy on, no one can own the land. That's one of their main points. So the fact that one man would be considered higher than another man simply because of skin color doesn't make any sense to a teen. So he doesn't like that part at all. And then Matt, because when you grow up a certain way, you don't know anything else. So in his world, he's always seen white people as being superior because really he's only been around white people. And he's read stories where white people are superior. So to hear a teen say that doesn't jive with the way he thinks, that's important for Matt because it's a kind of an aha moment where Matt's like, oh, wait a minute, maybe the way I've been thinking is wrong. Maybe no man is superior to another. Nobody should be in charge of another. You have to remember, this is the 1760s, so the colonies, everything is still very sparse. This is not quite getting to the point where slavery is going to become a huge issue. The Civil War will not be fought for almost another 100 years. So Matt's in the, Maine, so it's more of a rural area, and a lot of the Native American tribes that have been living up in that area have since moved away because of the white men coming in and settling the land. So chapter 10 is where he kind of edits the book, and he doesn't want to read every part to a teen because he doesn't want to upset him. And then a teen just kind of blows Matt's mind and says, hey, you want to go fishing? Because that's something that Matt A. would love to do. And it's more of a friendly gesture, if something you and a friend would do, like, hey, let's go fishing, or hey, let's go do this, or hey, let's go do that. So Matt, of course, brings his fishing pole. A teen does not need one. He is able to grab some nature and make a spear, and he's successful right away. The first time he gets a fish, it's too small. He says something to the fish, and then he puts the fish back in the water, and then he's able to get another fish. But then when Matt tries, of course, Matt's not used to fishing that way. He falls into the water, and he's annoyed because he thinks, okay, great, a teen has brought me out here to make fun of me. A teen just looks at me as someone to laugh at. And then he's able to do it, and he's able to actually get a really nice size fish. So they also use the fishing pole then, and they use the hook, but at first the line breaks, and then they figure it out again, and he's able to get a new one. And a teen shows him how you don't have to use, a traditional hook. Once again, you can go from nature and find stuff and make your own hook. And Matt's thrilled because he realizes now He doesn't have to be nervous about losing his hook. A teen has taught him how to fashion his own hook out of nature. Also, a teen shows him how it's easy to make a fire, and he's just all around impressed. I mean, really, a teen knows how to do everything that Matt doesn't know how to do, and he does it so easily. It's impressive, and it's a little, I'm sure Matt's a little embarrassed that he doesn't know how to do these things as well, but it's just different life experiences. Some of us know how to do things easier than others just because we've been exposed to it younger. So when chapter 11, actually at the end of chapter 10, Matt says to a teen, "What did you say to that little fish?" And a teen says that he told the other fish not to say anything to the other fish in the water because that would scare away the other fish from sticking around. Matt thinks that's kind of funny, and a teen actually smiles in a gesture that's not like a mocking smile, but that they've actually had a little like funny moment. So that's important because we see now their friendship is starting to change, where they're starting to see each other more as equals. Now, when chapter 11 begins, we find out that 7 weeks have gone by, and it's August. Remember, Matt's father said 6 or 7 weeks he'd be back. So in Matt's mind, he's thinking any day he's going to see his dad, his mom, his sister Sarah, and the new baby. And then he thinks, gosh, I don't even know if the new baby's going to be a boy or a girl. The new baby's been born, and I have no idea what the new baby is. And that kind of blows his mind because he realizes that he's been out of the loop with his family now for almost 2 months. But as we can see, with us having, we're only getting about to the halfway point, we can kind of conjecture here that the family's not going to show up as soon as he thought. In this one, they talk about, in the Native American world, there's some jobs that are just considered women's work, squaw's work, as they say. So a squaw's a woman. And Matt's kind of confused about that because in his world, that's not the case, and we have that in general. Some people would look at some things as a woman's job, and some people would look at it as a man's job even today. I think we're more or less have kind of flipped that. People don't really think about that as much as they used to. But really, up until, the 50s and the 60s, most women, once they got married, stayed at home and took care of the house, and the man went to work. Now that we are in a world where most couples, both mother and a father, work, you don't really have the traditional roles as much as you once did. Then we also learn about a teen's dog, which is just probably, we'd have to assume, kind of a really sorry looking mutt. He's been in fights. He's just, scraggly and probably patches of fur on. I used to have a cat. Well, I have a bunch of cats, but growing up, we had a bunch of cats, and we had this cat whose name was Mustache, yes, because it looked like he had a mustache, and he loved to go and fight all the time. He would leave our house, go wander in the neighborhood, come back days later, and he had obviously been in a fight. He would be bruised and battered and tufts of fur, and so I think of Mustache when I think of this dog. And this dog doesn't like Matt, and Matt doesn't like the dog. And a teen kind of says, the dog doesn't trust white people, which makes sense because dogs and all animals can feel what you're feeling. So a teen is distrustful of the white man, so the dog is too. And another funny thing with the dog is when Matt asks what's the dog's name, a teen doesn't understand it. It's like, it's dog. In his world, the dog is not a pet. The dog is used as a necessity, just kind of like a horse or whatever else. Like, we tend to name our pets and give them cutesy little names, but the Native Americans did not. And we find out the dog also came into battle with a porcupine at one point. So in this chapter, they go deep into the woods, and Matt's a little scared because he realizes the deeper they go, the farther they're going from his cabin, and he doesn't know if he knows his way back. And he thinks, wait a minute, maybe a teen is doing this on purpose. Maybe a teen is leading him out to the woods, and the teen's going to disappear. And here's Matt. He's going to be stranded trying to find his way back. It's when they are in the woods, and this is on page 55, that they see a beaver dam. And Matt's in awe because he's never seen a dam before. And it makes this huge noise that Matt thinks it's a gun at first, and it turns out it's just the beavers. And he thinks that's pretty cool. And then a teen also points out on the tree a title of our book, The Sign of the Beaver. So a teen's tribe marks their territory. All the tribes mark their territory by putting signs on the trees. So a teen's tribe is known for the sign of the beaver. So when you're in a certain part of the woods, if you're a Native American, you would see certain markings on a tree, and you would know it is that Native Americans group area, and you would respect it and not violate that area. Now, of course, what's been happening is the white men have been settling and taking over and showing absolutely zero respect. And that's important because that shows why a teen is the way he is. So then a teen wants Matt to lead them back to the cabin, and Matt's kind of, at first, scared. He doesn't understand how he's going to do it. And then a teen shows him. He's been making little marks along the way. He's been snapping little branches or putting a pebble in the walk. Nothing that if you or I were walking through, we might notice, because we learned that the white man puts marks in by, putting in a very obvious mark in a tree. So that kind of lets everybody know that somebody's there. This would be something like, an experienced hunter or survivalist would know how to do, to make little branches, break them or something. So you have your little path to find your way back. And at the end of the chapter, Matt realizes that the roles have been reversed. If this were Robinson Crusoe, the book, a teen would be Robinson Crusoe, and Matt would be Friday, because Matt's constantly learning from a teen, and he's trying to also earn his respect. He realizes that, okay, maybe a teen hasn't been mean to be mean. He's been mean because he doesn't know if he can trust Matt and if he can respect Matt. Is Matt trustworthy? Is Matt a nice person? Because the stories that a teen has heard about the white man have not been nice, okay? So that's where we're ending from what you read last week. This week, you're going to work on some worksheets and things, and you do another paragraph. Please look at the sample paragraph. Look at the final draft. I'm at the point, if you're not following the directions, I'm sending it back to you with no grade, and it's going to say redo. So you need to go and look in my comments. Please, 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 please. Like I said, we're almost halfway through the book. Once April vacation is over, we'll work on the second half of the book, and then we'll see where we are from there. Maybe by then we'll be back in school. I hope you all have a great Easter week and vacation week. And please, if you have any questions, you can always email me or put comments in the classroom for the assignments that are due. If you put a comment in a classroom for an assignment that was due and you've already turned it in, or hasn't been assigned yet and it's the classroom's open, I might not see it. So everybody have a good week, and I will see you later. Bye.